Christmas, you filthy animals. Well, look at that. We're back at Disneyland. And any second now, they're going to officially light up the night by firing up Main Street USA's Christmas tree. It's what everybody's waiting for. Well, that and the parade. Here it comes.
1, 2, 3. Happy
holidays! Whoa! Wow. Joyeux Noël. My friends, it is pure Christmas glory. But I'm actually not here for the Christmas glory. I'm standing on Main Street, USA for something else. Just off the side of Main Street is what some people have called East Center Street or Market Street over here, this little side alley. And it's the perfect place to tell you why I'm really here, because I'm here to share a Disneyland related secret nobody knows about yet, and I hope I don't get in trouble for sharing it. I'm gonna share it anyway. Now, if you're big fans of Disneyland or the history of Disneyland, especially lately with all the content that's been out there, you might have heard of the name of Bob Gurr, and that's his Main Street window up there. Meteor Cycle Company, fast, faultless, and fadless. Bob, oh, I just realized his name was probably blocked out by the little balcony thing. There you go. Fast, faultless, and fadless Bob Gurr, design impresario right there. I'm very proud and very honored to be able to call Bob a friend, a good friend, now for, I don't know, 10 years or more. Bob Gurr is the Disney legend, the last surviving of Walt Disney's original Imagineers, who built, I mean, almost everything that moves at the original early Walt Disney's Disneyland. I'll give you some examples in just a couple of seconds. Now, 10 years ago, you'd be forgiven if you hadn't heard of Bob Gurr. Only the most hardcore of hardcore Disneyland history nerds probably really knew who Bob was and his major contribution to the Disney parks. But of course, in the last few years, we've had things like the Imagineering story on Disney Plus that featured Bob Gurr very prominently in the park. We've had tons of different books. We've had all kinds of YouTube channels, including mine, filming tons of stuff with Bob. And of course, my good friend Ernie became Bob's manager at some point, and Bob went from giving a talk here or there for free in some kind of small little kind of Disneyland book club or something like that, to now like headlining premiere events all over the world, really. He released his autobiography. I mean, he's done all kinds of television shows. So in the last 10 years, thanks to, you know, so many mega TV shows, thanks to all the things I just mentioned to you, and of course some of the big anniversaries, Disneyland's 60th anniversary that happened a few years back, and then Disney World's 50th, etc., etc. My friend Bob Gurr has finally got a lot more of the attention he deserves from the average park-going public, and there's no better place to give you examples of the things he built than right here in Tomorrowland, that still has so many of Bob's moving parts in operation. When I say Bob has had something to do with almost everything in the park, that's no exaggeration, but some of the main things that he really worked hard on the mechanics of is the original Omnimover system, which before they were Doom Buggies were featured in a ride right here. It was called Adventure Through Inner Space. Then probably best of all, at least in my opinion, because it was my favorite Disneyland ride as a kid, and even now, maybe tied with Pirates. But we'll let that go for the moment. Definitely my favorite ride as a kid, Bob, right here. High above the streets of the future, you had the amazing, the incredible, the lost People Mover. Still have the abandoned tracks here, but was once a very slow-moving and very peaceful, but one of my absolute favorite attractions. Even as a little kid, they replaced it because they thought it was too boring, and then the replacement broke, and they've never, ever brought Bob's amazing, incredible People Mover back to life. Not only did he design the ride vehicles, but the giant rotating station that you can still see up there. So there's still a lot of stuff Bob Gurr was literally hands-on with right over in this section of Tomorrowland. But it goes much, much, much further than that. Back here in the very back of the park, you have a building that used to house the Carousel of Progress. It's now at Magic Kingdom. It originally debuted at the 1964 World's Fair. Bob Gurr designed the animatronic dog in that big rotating building right there. Oh, the People Mover. Bring back the People Mover. The people want to move, Disney. Give the people what they want. Bob helped to design the first tubular steel roller coaster in the world, the Matterhorn back there. And then over here, it's like Bob Gurr Alley. He redesigned the classic, colorful Skyway vehicles, so the sky buckets that used to come right out of here. In fact, that Winner's Circle shop right there, the little shop you can see dead ahead, that is located right underneath where the Skyway buckets used to come out of the station and float right over our heads. And right next door to that is the Autopia. Bob Gurr designed not just the original Autopia cars, and I'm not talking about just structurally, but the first Autopia car body and several thereafter. That's actually his background. He came from the world of car design. That's how he got the gig with Disney in the first place. And then over here, right next door to Autopia, which started right from the opening of the park, 1955, sandwiched right between his Autopia and, of course, that first tubular steel roller coaster, the Matterhorn, like I was telling you, there are two Bob Gurr classics stacked right on top of each other because Bob Gurr actually designed the submarine vehicle you see right in front of us. In fact, I believe he said it was just one sketch. He did one sketch of sort of a modern, sleek, beautiful nuclear submarine, showed it to Admiral Joe Fowler, and off it went to the shipyards in Long Beach to get built. Now, originally, of course, they were gray, just like the real submarines back in the day. But although the paint scheme changed to a beautiful Jacques Cousteau yellow over the years, the design has never changed. That's still Bob Gurr's original submarine design, cruising around in that beautiful colored lagoon. And of course, right above the submarine station, just over the pond there, is perhaps Bob's favorite Disneyland design, and certainly the most iconic, because Bob Gurr is perhaps best known as the father of the monorail. He went from a job designing a simple body for a very simple, small, beloved Autopia car to designing things like this, the freaking monorail. Okay, true, this is the modern monorail, but Bob has been designing them since the very beginning. Monorails obviously existed in Europe already, but Bob is the one that created this amazing Buck Rogers spaceship of the future flying overhead. There's been so many different generations of it. They're still using some of Bob Gurr's design principles, the technology that he helped develop, and of course, the design of the current monorail here at Disneyland is basically an homage, a huge homage to Bob's original design. Okay, so why am I talking about Bob Gurr so much? What is this big Disneyland secret? Well, it has to do with my friend Bob Gurr. Nobody has talked about this yet, and I kind of asked yesterday, am I going to get in trouble for this? But my friends, something is coming that you are absolutely going to love and be a part of in a way. Because you can't understand the history of Disneyland and how everything was built and how everything was designed and all the trouble they went through without Bob Gurr. He's been here since the beginning. He's been working on the park since before it opened. That means that not only did Bob Gurr design and build half the stuff that we know and love so much today, and by the way, one of the things he worked on was the Lincoln animatronic, the father of all the human audio animatronic figures that are still here at Disneyland today. So I mean, in a way, it all goes back to Bob partially, but Bob was there at the beginning. He was there with Walt. He remembers, he has living memory of the entire history of Disneyland. Very important. Now, Bob has told this history many times. He does all these events like I was talking about. I've done events with Bob. We've done interviews together and all kinds of things, and Bob's talked to tons of authors and things like that. So a lot of that Disney history is out there, but how can you really understand the history of Disneyland and the mind of Bob Gurr that created so much of what's classic in this park without understanding Bob Gurr himself? And over the years, of course, I've been to all these events, and lots of people want to get inside Bob's mind with one question, well, how did you get started in design? But you only have such a limited time for Bob to explain. He wrote his autobiography, which is great. But yesterday, I was able to see something absolutely incredible. I was able to preview a rough cut, it's not quite done yet, of a Bob Gurr documentary. Now, Bob has done a little, kind of a little documentary before where he talked about some of his ideas about designing and some of the Disney lore I was just telling you. But this Bob Gurr documentary that's coming out probably next year, so sometime in 2025, has to be, spoiler alert, one of the coolest things I've ever seen, because in all the years I've been hanging out with Bob, and all the years I've been seeing people asking questions, trying to get inside the mind of the man who built the monorail, I've never seen anything that really helped you get to know the man, right? He's only got so much time. He's got to put on his Disney hat. Most people want to ask him what Walt Disney smelled like. The answer is cigarettes. But especially being friends with him for so long, I've always been fascinated with Bob Gurr, the man. And not only has Bob Gurr told me all kinds of amazing stories from his 93-year-long history in Southern California and
obviously with the Walt Disney Company, as a car designer for Ford, and you know, he worked on Universal projects, Las Vegas projects, the 1984 Olympics, one of Michael Jackson's tours. Bob has done it all. He worked with the guys doing the animatronics for Jurassic Park. So not only is there all of that that fascinates me, Bob has fascinated me as a person. Bob has been kind of a mentor to me. You know, I'm on my quest for positivity. I've been on it for years. Sorry, it's so loud right here. Boy, oh boy. I met Bob just as I was going through a divorce and all this crazy stuff. So I've known Bob through all these crazy challenges where he's been kind of a mentor about his personal philosophy. Because you'll notice Bob's 93 years old. He has seen some things. He's been through a lot. And yet he's never angry. He's always happy, always optimistic. One of his favorite catchphrases, which I think he stole from someone else, but for me it'll always be a Bob Kerr quote, is boredom is impossible. And the other one was, while alive, live. Like, Bob has guided me with some of his past stories. And this thing I saw yesterday was the first sort of thing in all the Bob Gurr content that's out there and all the books that have been written and all the documentaries he's been featured in that really lets you get to know Bob Gurr the man, Bob Gurr, my friend. Now honestly, the filmmakers have no idea that I'm doing this. I think Bob's manager knows, but so I gotta be careful what I say. So I don't want to give anything away that they're saving for the documentary or keeping a big secret, but I will say you see some incredible footage. There is Disney stuff in it, so you do get your classic dose of Disneyland, including some images of Bob at the park in the modern day and some images of the past that I didn't even know existed. That's as much as I'm going to say about that. Some things that will blow your mind. But the most incredible part of it, I really hope I'm not spoiling anything, is that you get to know Bob and all of his interests. You get this crazy inside look at the things that kind of turn Bob on, make Bob interested, make him so curious, and make him want to, you know, build and construct and create things. And you get a sense of Bob's like passions that are still going on till this day. He's never slowed down, 93 years young. Because if you're anything like me and you love Disneyland, you love Disneyland lore, or if you just love history in general, then the idea of somebody who built so much of classic Disneyland, which is, I mean, one of the icons of America, right? A world treasure. That you'll be fascinated with this documentary, because I always want to know what makes people like that tick. What makes the great designers, the great thinkers, the great artists, the great musicians, what made them think the way they thought? What made them create things the way that they did? And oh my gosh, look at this. This is like Bob Gurr land if you're standing up here on this side of the monorail platform. We're surrounded, and I mean on all sides. Like everywhere I look, I see something Bob helped to build. I got the submarine lagoon here. I've got the abandoned people mover tracks. I've got the Matterhorn over here. The Autopia's rolling around in front of me. The monorail's going by. I mean, the man had a major impact here. I want to know how people like that think. What is it that made them so creative? What is it that gave them that little spark of genius or imagination or whatever it is that helped them create the worlds, the Disney worlds, pun intended, that the entire world has fallen in love with? What was it? Well, I think for the first time, you're gonna really get to see that. And not only that, but I didn't even see it with the final sound or anything, and it is really well made. It looks incredible. I'm not just saying this because my friends made it. It looks incredible. I mean, the interviews are incredible. The people you meet along the way are incredible. It's an absolute winner, an absolute gem. Now, I don't think it has a final title yet, so I can't tell you what the title is going to be. I can tell you that I'm in it, so maybe that's why I'm giving it such a glowing review. No, it's not for that reason. And because it's not completely finished, there's no fixed release date yet. Here's how it's gonna go down, right? It's not gonna be, I mean, it may end up on streaming one day, but it probably will be released sometime in the spring of this coming year. So in 2025, here's the cool part, at least at first, they'll do screenings of this documentary. See, this is the part I'm not sure if I'm supposed to tell, but I think there's gonna be live screenings of it, hopefully with Bob in attendance. Who knows? I mean, maybe not just in Southern California, maybe in Orlando, maybe all across the world for all I know. I am really looking forward to seeing where this goes in terms of the screening, but it should be out March, April, May, something like spring, maybe into the summer of 2025. Now that's, I don't know, I'm not the one making the thing, but that's at least my understanding of what is going on. I watched it, guys. I watched the rough cut. Yeah, it needs to be trimmed up a little, but it was one of the most astounding, amazing things, capturing the brain of an inspirational man I've ever seen. I watched tons of documentaries and history documentaries. I think you'll find this interesting. I think you'll find it different than you expect. No matter what you're expecting, it's going to be different. It is extremely educational, so awesome for kids. A lot of kids go to meet Bob because they wonder, how can I become an Imagineer? How do I become a creative person, a designer, all these things. You're going to learn a lot if you watch this thing. It will inspire, I think, the kids, the youth. Anyway, that is the mind-blowing Disneyland secret du jour. That is the secret of the day at Disneyland. It's not a history tidbit. It is living history come to life in a way you've never seen before. This documentary is going to be incredible. I'm so stoked for it. Now, of course, I can't tell you a solid release date yet because they haven't told me. Obviously, once I know, I'll post about it on Instagram and all that kind of stuff. Or you can follow Bob Gurr on Instagram, Bob Gurr Official. They have all kinds of events on there. Bob is doing bus tours of Disney-related sites in Southern California. I think there's some bus tours scheduled for spring of 2025 as it happens. So keep your eyes peeled on Bob's official accounts, or you can keep your eyes peeled on any of the Random Land accounts. I'm sure I'll update you too. This thing is freaking awesome. It's going to be incredible. And yes, I probably could have walked around here and done like 3 minutes unedited and just told you about it that way. But I had to share this and come down and actually visit Bob Gurr Land, aka Tomorrowland. Although they've sort of ungird it way too much for my taste. And in the spirit of classic Disneyland, and in honor of my friend Bob Gurr, who helped create so much of it, lead you out with a little bit of classic Disneyland footage. Thanks for watching, you guys. Keep your eyes peeled, because this thing is going to be awesome. I had to, no one's saying anything about it yet, so I'm like, I guess I'll be the one. I guess I'll be the one to put the word out. Although I'm sure once everything's finalized and there's a title and a date and everything else, you guys will hear about it, you Disneyland nuts, you Disneyland fans, you Disney maniacs. But I just had to tell you. I had to tell you so you can get pumped up with me, get pumped up for the future, because it's coming. All right, that's all I wanted to tell you. Thanks for hanging out. We will be back with some more Disneyland history, some more random Disneyland adventure, some sometimes vlogs, all kinds of things going on this channel. There's over 1,000 videos. There's tons of Disney history here, and we've done stuff with Bob Gurr on this channel in the past as well. So go check out our previous videos. Subscribe if you've never been here before. I hope you enjoyed this little Disneyland related secret here. But we've done our duty. Go home and sleep well.
Waiting for the monorail, waiting for the monorail, waiting for the monorail all day. Starting cold and I'm on, waiting for the monorail, been waiting for it all day. I really want to see a monorail come by, so I don't have to stand here and be a lonely guy. I'm waiting for it to come down the track. Standing here, starting to hurt my back. Yeah, so waiting for the monorail, waiting for the monorail. Hey, there's a submarine lagoon, doo doo. Wow. What? That's all.
My hero. You are the funniest man. You know what you just did?
What'd I do?
You used me to shill you.
No!
Yes, okay. They wouldn't show up unless I showed up.
All right, it's actually coming now. It's supposed to actually be coming now. Even in the most silliest, simplest of videos, the amount of time I spend just waiting for that perfect shot. Do I need the perfect shot? No, I can just get any shot, but I always want to have that perfect shot. Oh, dude, this is taking forever. It's gonna be right when I push. Oh, here it comes.